I would appreciate an environment of positivity over negativity. If you're not into faith and you hear me saying a prayer, don't go outside of yourself to ridicule the community. There's been too much of that the last couple of days. So I'd like to start out by saying a prayer for Bearded Viking. If it rubs you the wrong way, unfollow. We want to ask for the guiding light for Bearded Viking, for his son who's fighting the good fight, Mighty Marcus, for the least amount of resistance and the most amount of progress, and to be the most comfortable and as painless as possible as he continues to go through treatment. We want that solitude for Bearded Viking and his wife. We look out for John Hall, whose son is going and been deployed. And obviously, we can't just pray to Yahweh for our own soldiers. It has to be for the overall resolution. So we ask for that guiding stone. Amen. And if that goes against what you think, congratulations. But we definitely shouldn't be taking people down for their faith, and that's inappropriate. So do better. Good morning. 9:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, March 5th, 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Yeah, I have a busy morning. I'll only be able to be here until about 10:30ish. I have an IEP for my son. He's special needs. And they're going to go over how his progress has been at school this year, try to develop a plan for next year, and see what's going on. So I'll definitely be busy this morning. I still wanted to do this hour live. I just got done with my workout. So I'm going to try to do this in the best way possible. Right now, XRP has held that $1.41 level so far like a champ. But we're not out of the woods yet. We still need to break past the key resistance area, which right now we haven't been able to push past. And we'll talk about that this morning. We'll go over Bitcoin at the possibility of breaking out further here, or the level that it could come down to, which would make sense at 69K to backtest this initial move out. But it doesn't necessarily have to. That doesn't have to happen. So don't think that has to happen. And that's why in the title I went strategically and said XRP, the final warning. One wrong move and the floor collapses. Don't get trapped on the wrong side. And that just simply means don't chase and wait for validation, especially if you're trying to enter the market right now. So we want to make sure that we're getting the proper validation so that we can start to move out here. When we look at the stock market, the Nasdaq's down almost 300 points. S&P's down about 17. Nasdaq's down 53. So nothing major. Kind of a little bit of back and forth here. When we look at commodities, gold's down about 0.5%, silver 1/3 of 1%, platinum's down about 0.17%, so nothing major there either. Oil is up 2 1/3, basically, but not any real major movement here. But we definitely have to just watch this in a real way. We need to watch this to see if we're going to hold this support structure or if we can continue to push out. My content's being very heavily restricted right now, so I appreciate everybody who finds their way in. But don't be surprised if less people are in here in the next couple of days, because even when they put my lives out, they're not pushing it around at all. Barely nobody's watching it once the live's over itself. It says that they only recommend 1.2% of my content on YouTube. So it's a pure miracle that so many people are finding the content with only a 1.2% recommendation. That's embarrassingly low by YouTube. So I believe that they filter out the real information, and they don't want everybody to have the knowledge that they could attain it by simply just being here. So I'd appreciate the likes. It's one way to circumvent the system and force YouTube to try to push us through the algorithm, but the algorithm is doing us absolutely no favors. So we're just going to have to work that much harder to try to get the voice out there. So I appreciate everybody being here. Positivity over negativity. Be helpful, not hurtful. And be respectful of other people's circumstances. Just because you have it good doesn't mean everybody does. And maybe the one who has it bad or is going through a trying time, this is their only a moment of solitude, and getting some kind of prayer, some kind of positivity towards them is giving them the light they need today. So when you try to extinguish the light, that's not very progressive. In fact, that's being a little bitch, in my opinion. So don't be a bitch. Show solitude, soul grace, show integrity, and try to be helpful. show an understanding of what others are going through. I may show up here every single day, but I can guarantee you I deal with a lot more than most. But I don't complain, I don't bitch and moan, I don't piss and moan. And I show up here every day with the positive light, but also the real factual direction. So show your integrity. Don't show me your little cowardness. I don't want to see cowardness. I want to see productivity. I want to see a providing light. I want to see a purpose. I want us to achieve things together. Some of the things I've seen the last couple of days are completely unacceptable by a few, and they're no longer part of this community. That's as much as I'm going to say. I've single-handedly deleted 7 people and blocked them from my community. One was here for 3 years. Not going to put up with it. I don't care if you've been here 1 day or 5 years. If you don't respect my direction, go fuck yourself. And that's as easy as I can say it. I won't swear anymore, but that's as direct as I can be. Don't extinguish somebody else's light. You know, we're trying to light the light, not extinguish it. So that's basically where we can go there. So let's start with positivity now. Now that I got that out, now that I got the aggressive tone out, now I would like to take a breathing measure for the next 30 seconds with this community so that we can do it right. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Because we have to have the proper positivity. I have to have the proper tone. Otherwise, I'm going to lose myself with a bunch of bad apples, and that's just not possible. I don't want to do that. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. One big breath.
They have everything they need. Just wait. They said if I can hear them by Tuesday.
Next Tuesday? Okay. Love you. So welcome in, everybody. I greatly appreciate the continued support. I appreciate the ones who are doing this in a way of positivity. And I also appreciate the ones who reach out to the ones who are less fortunate and try to lead them with the guiding hand. That's all we can ask. So I really appreciate that. And now that we move past some of the stuff that we needed to discuss early, now we're going to focus very hardcore on the technicals. Not surprised we're seeing a little bit of red here. We talked about it before the daily close yesterday as we came on for our second live. I know not a lot of people seen it because YouTube didn't post it until this morning. And like I said, only 1.4 or 1.5% of my content's recommended, which is extremely low, which means 98% of my audience, 98.5% of you find it on your own without a recommendation. And I guess that's the biggest motivation I can receive, that people are going outside of their way to find my content. So I greatly appreciate that. I greatly appreciate the ones who are leading by example and are trying to give that guiding stone. So, with that being said, let's have one focus, one brain, one mind, and one pure emotional standpoint. I understand the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So if we do this in a way where I'm very direct and I tell you what I expect, and that you'll be gone if you don't follow those rules, I think we can do this much better. Like I said, somebody over 3 years is gone, and I have no remorse. None. Zero. Because if my son can handle it being special needs, so can all of you. If Mighty Marcus can do this from a place of positivity and good healing, even though he's fighting the good fight, which no kid should have to go through, we can all do better. I can do better. We can all do better. So for us to do better, we've got to do better. So that's why I came in so strong today, because we're going to do better regardless. I talked about the spinning top candle possibly yesterday, which is a bearish reversal. It's a rejection point. It's denoted by the next 3 candlesticks. And as you can see, after what looked like a spinning top with a pull down to the bottom side, even though we had a little aggressiveness here, the bears definitely won this out. And we came through back, tried to retest, failed again, and now it looks like we're continuing that momentum. I still expect Bitcoin to likely be back down towards 69K. It's not a guarantee, but I still see we're going to have some kind of consolidation. We broke out of a consolidation. And I talked yesterday about just letting this play out, going more liquid, taking the gains, and then letting it prove to me to buy back in. That even goes with everything. So, you know, XDC right now is trying to show us here. We need to see a couple of candles here. but I could still see a possible head and shoulders form with this wick here. Top, right extended shoulder, which would be building the stairs because of how it is. We can invalidate this with a 4-hour movement over 3.6 and ultimately putting in a new high at 3.77 approximately. So this is definitely something to really pay close attention to with XDC. And then across the board, again, I'm not surprised that we've had a little consolidation today. We figured we'd have to come through here. My main concerning point is we needed to get above this upper liquidity box, which extended out to the 4-hour time frame, because that would invalidate a bearish rejection zone, which we have the liquidity sweep, which would be a bearish confirmation if rejected. And as of right now, unfortunately, we're being bearishly rejected. And all that means is we could see a 4 to 6% reversal today across the board if this plays through. They did a lot of fake out candles overnight, which further confirms that spinning top, in my opinion. It's another great reason to be in the Telegram, everybody. The reason I love the Telegram, maybe if you don't even want to participate, is because YouTube doesn't show my content. So when I post it on here, it pops up every single time. You don't have to wait for YouTube. It's a main reason how most people are finding my content. Samsung, I mean, you got to read through all of the stuff I put on here. I would never message you. And the fact that you guys need to go through here and read in the Telegram, there's so many different warnings. In fact, you have to agree when you first sign in before you can even comment. There's no reason anybody should be getting scammed. This is the exact reason I don't like to open it up to everybody, because then more scammers come in. But that is what they do. They come in like, and the other thing is like the promise of more XRP for your XRP makes absolutely no sense. Like if you follow me, you guys would know I would never send you anything. Please don't fall for that bullshit. People are always trying to take advantage of the unknowing, which is a sin. We're not supposed to take advantage of the unwise or the unknowing, or take advantage of somebody's, from a personal standpoint because they're struggling. So if you know anything about me, I won't send you anything on there. You have to send it to me publicly. I don't even comment unless I have talked to you very point blank, because there's too many scammers. People will use somebody who has some kind of star power because they'll take my integrity and they'll try to put it over you. And that's just not okay. That's why there's all those warnings in place. That's why we have the system in place. And that goes for every part of social media. If somebody's promising you, send me XRP and you can double it, why would you even think that's possible? I don't have the resources to do that. I don't even get paid advertising on here. I don't have any paid sponsorships. I refuse them all. So I literally have no way of doing that. I have way too many bills to pay and way too much stuff going on with my son to even acknowledge that I would even try something like that. So please be wise. And I'm not mad at you, Samsung. I'm actually glad you sent that message so I can spread the word even more. Don't fall for that nonsense. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And unfortunately, they go after everybody who has some kind of a name and they create fake portfolios and things like that. So don't go to private messages on Telegram, Facebook, YouTube, through emails, unless I give you a direct message. Please, 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 please save yourself from that. And the fact that people are getting scammed about it, I mean, what are we doing? I send this message every single day. I tell you, when you come into the Telegram, you literally have to read this. Look, it says the first thing you have to agree to: Tom will never message you directly, nor will he ever ask for money, crypto, seed phrases, passwords, or any other personal information. If you encounter suspicious activity, block and report the user immediately through our security center. That's the number one thing I tell you. It's the number one warning in my Telegram that you have to agree to. So nobody should be getting scammed if you just read the warnings. Please. It's for your own safety, not mine. Mine as well. But it's for your own safety. Like, you literally, are we agreeing without reading? This is something I talk about every day. Don't you want to have the knowledge of what you're dealing with? If you think you're getting a free ride, most likely you're going to get taken. Please don't get taken. That's the complete objective to the opposite side. Like I said, I'm not mad at Samsung. I'm just saying this happens far too often, not just in my community. And I've done all I can possibly do to enlighten everybody when they walk in there. So it's, here's 1 minute. But this is just going to open up the ability for spammers to go in there. So I'm not going to do this for the next about month now. So this is your last chance if you're not part of Tom's Army. Period. And if you want to show the support, join Tom's Army if you want to be involved in something deeper. If you want to understand how not to get taken, take my classes. It's that simple. Nobody restricted you, the Gatman. I can guarantee you didn't accept the prompt. You didn't accept the prompt. You can't comment in my Telegram unless you accept the prompt because it tells me, and I'm removing this, it tells me that you've read the rules of conditions and you understand the risk being involved with the scammers. If you don't accept the prompt, you cannot comment, period. You have to prove who you are. That's probably why. And am I a little hot and heavy today? Not because of the Telegram, because of some unkind people that attack people's religion. So sometimes you have to speak out for what you believe. That's why I came in so hot and heavy, but I'm going to tone it back because it does nobody any good. Joseph Euler, thanks for the gifted sub this morning. And Tom's Army for over 1 year and gifting a sub. And Sir James got it. Congratulations, Sir James, and welcome back for your second month with the Dusty's Outhouse Crypto News. For the community, Thessalonians 5:11. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. Amen to that, and I love that scripture so very much. William Hayes, thanks for being in Tom's Army 6+ months with the XP Predictor, along with Mr. and Mrs. Stott. And also, thanks for gifting that sub back to Bold FC. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. And thank you for coming back in your second month of Dust House Crypto. I need to change this up. We're too negative right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I know what time it is, and this might kill 50% of the audience, but I know what time it is. Do you know what time it is? Ladies and gentlemen, the sunny days are here again. Oh, sunny days. Oh, what a day. Oh, sunny days. Oh, what a day. I wear glasses 'cause I can't see a motherfucking thing. Happy days. Oh, happy days. Oh, what a day. Oh, happy days. Oh, what a day. XRP will reign supreme. Let's just not get caught in the FUD. Oh, we're gonna crash and we did and we will and we might and we won't and we can and we will, but it's not possible, but it is and it won't and we can and it will and we will and we can't and we can, oh yeah. Stay true, stay blessed, don't forget, Bitcoin's the biggest Ponzi of them all. Now let's start this in a better direction, and it starts with me, your leader, the one who starts the way we sound, the way we act, the way we conduct ourselves. No more negativity this morning, no more nonsense, and the rest of the week I want to hear positivity. We've already lost 30% of the viewing audience this morning. You see how quickly we can extinguish the light from people? So we need to reignite it this morning. XRP's trying to push. We're trying to hold on to these levels. If XRP can push past this little safety net here, which we've got a little bit of work to do this morning, no doubt about it, because what could be determined as a failed breakout attempt at liquidity can be very easily rectified if we can put in a newer high here and use this as some kind of a flag. We have a double bottom. We have a shoulder head possible reversal. So this is something that that is definitely going to need to be watched. The daily time frame right now, it's not the worst thing in the world. We haven't come back between half. We've still got an engulfing candle to the top side. So I still am hopeful that we can make a break. But at the same time, I still understand what could be building here. So we need to get some further confirmation for a push out. You know, we need to get a further push without a further rejection. And it might warrant coming back down to lower levels. It may. It all depends on Bitcoin. As far as what I'm seeing with the rest of the market, it's following pretty much in line with XRP. If we look at the XRP Bitcoin pairing, it's up about 0.5%, but that is still showing probably a retest possibly down here. Daily's oversold. 4-hourly's trying to break up, so maybe we can find a little point of contention here and not have to come down any farther, which would be absolutely phenomenal. Am I coaching football this fall? Not that I know of. I haven't coached since we won the championship. I only coached for 2 seasons. I did the first season. We came in second. And then my nephew didn't want to play football. I went to basketball. So then I coached in Bloomfield Hills because they didn't have a coach and the team wouldn't have been able to play. Didn't know who they were. And we went undefeated and won the championship back in 24, which was pretty cool. The only time I ever coached football, and in 2 seasons we came in second, runner-ups, and then we actually won the championship and went undefeated. We were 10-0, and then 3-0 in the playoffs, which was pretty cool. So I think I'll keep that on my resume, 13-0 my final season, which actually opened up the door for Michigan to win their championship, believe it or not. If I wouldn't have won it, I don't think Michigan would have. I think I broke the curse. Laugh out loud. Macro view. Crypto bullish or bearish? Well, in the macro, overall, still bullish. Micro, to be determined. The fact we're under the $1.56 leads you to believe the micro is still overtly bearish until we get back over that area. But it's something that we have to try to break out of. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty happy about that football championship because I've won championships in bowling individually and on teams. I won a championship in basketball as a player, as a coach. I can't remember if I won a championship. I made it to a few. Baseball, won a championship as a player. Yeah, so I have a lot of accolades from my youth. You know how they show those videos? I was once an athlete. Well, I may have been an athlete, but I think I'm a better coach than an athlete. I'm actually really good at everything I do because I don't start out good at something, but I'm very dedicated and I have to know everything. So I always use the example. You can't start shooting a basketball until you learn to dribble it, but how can you even dribble a basketball before you know what it is? Take that knowledge to crypto and trading. How can you open up an exchange and put money on the portfolio if you've never seen a chart? Or if you don't understand market anatomy or psychology or the human emotion that plays into it? So you can't you can't become an expert before you are a beginner. You can't learn unless you make mistakes. So that's the biggest thing I can tell you. We've got to make mistakes to make progress. And we've made a lot of mistakes as a community the last 2 days. Feeding into some of the fire, turning people away that might have wanted to be in here a little bit more. I'm a big bull too. I'm going to the Open Championship in Reno. Excellent. Good luck with that. Yeah, I was the #1 ranked amateur bowler in Michigan in the Mid-State Masters when I was 17. I lied about my age. You had to be 18. And I ended up being the #1 ranked through half the season until my dad wouldn't let me miss school. He wouldn't let me miss 11th grade to go finish these tournaments. But I was #1, and I actually got a Pro-Am invite at 23. And they were going to pay the entire thing down in Ohio, the Pro-Am. So I would have been partnered with the professional. 10-pin bowling, yeah, 10-pin. And I had a fully paid ride. I was sponsored by Ebonite Columbia 300 as well. So I'd get free bowling balls, free bags. They'd pay my entry fees. I would have to pay like the fee to get in the tournament, but they would pay for all of the local tournaments. I came in, the best I ever did was I came in 3rd and a couple semifinals. And you're talking about hundreds of people, and I didn't have the experience, but I did rather well. I won individual tournaments, but in the Mid-State Masters, the best I did was 3rd. But unfortunately, when I got the Pro-Am invite, I was set to go down to Canton, Ohio, and I broke my back 2 weeks before that tournament. Funny enough. So, and then I proceeded after I broke my back. I had bowled 3 300s out of league. I went to a tournament 8 months after breaking my back, and I could barely bend down, and I ended up shooting a 300 and an 822 series. I'll never forget it. I shot 272, 300, and 250 in that tournament. I ended up not even making the cut with my doubles partner because he sucked, or my team of four, because they imagine averaging 270 and your teammates average like 160. Yeah, it kind of sucked. But I had 3 rings. I bowled a couple 300s. One when I was ABC, the American Bowling of Congress or Commission, and the United States Bowling Commission or Congress, whatever you want to call it. I had an 800 ring, but unfortunately, in my sister's drug day, she sold that stuff, so I never got them back because she was a heroin addict and she sold a lot of. Well, I don't want to get into it because she's doing great now. So we don't want to live in the past; we want to live in the present. So. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that I've achieved a lot in my life. It's just I've been hindered a lot as well with injury, but you can't let that define you. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. So right now, if we're looking at this, we do have a chance to aggressively break out here. If we can hold the line here and not break past these downward tugs, we can definitely break out. Bitcoin's got a beautiful setup if it can break past here. That's a nice flag. We have a target up to about 80,600 to 82K. Oh, I love Kingpin too. Beautiful movie. So definitely something we're looking at here to see if we can break out of this little bit of a bearish bias we were in on the consolidation. No hope is lost yet, folks, because if we get a surge here, it'd be incredible. The only thing I'm watching for is the possibility, and it's not 100% because this looks like an engulfing daily candle if it can continue this momentum. It's just where the daily's at overbought like this. We could very well find ourselves coming back to support. One thing that I can see that could possibly happen, and it's not a guarantee, is you see how we broke out here? There is a possibility if Bitcoin can't hold this area that we might come back and test the 20 in the daily time frame to ease some tension before we move out. You could find yourself coming back down a little bit. Daily volume, not horrible in comparison to where we're at. We're kind of up in the upper echelons. It feels like a dump could be coming. My back did pull a month, and you got that right. Tom, how the hell do you make a curveball in bowling? Yes. You have to, so your hand like this, it has to come back like this, and you have to snap your wrist. It's a snap. You have to snap. I don't believe in two-hand bowling. When I used to bowl, that was illegal. You couldn't bowl with like that. Because think of steroids in sports. If you're using steroids, you have an unfair advantage. If you're only using no thumb in the ball, and you're using two hands to create the torque, that's the equivalent of using steroids in bowling. See, when I bowled, that was illegal. I won't bowl now because of it. I'm still very good. I only bowled one time, and my brother was practicing, and he shot like 660, and I shot 712 my first time back, and he was pissed. And that was a couple years ago, and I haven't bowled since. All the new rules and regulations, it's no good for the sport. But you have to snap your wrist. You have to, so if you're holding the ball like this, you've literally got to make it feel like it's sideways, and when you come through, it's got to be a snap. It's literally got to snap. That snap gives you the revolutions on the ball. And then it's up to you to understand if you need like a urethane particles or things like that. A reactive resin, depending on your strengths or weaknesses. So that's what you have to snap the wrist, and it's not easy. But once you learn it, it's pretty cool. But yeah, you need to snap the wrist. And it hurts at first. You have to build the tolerance. And it can cause rotor why can't I think of the rotor, why can't I say it, but in your shoulder, it's not technically good for that, so a lot of people end up with surgeries and things like that. So I don't know what would have happened to me if I wouldn't have gotten injured, but yeah, that's what you need to do. JBHK, thanks for being a very trusted mountaineer with Crypto Cruder and Elmer Fudd. Thank you all so much for that. Crypto Cruder over 1 year with the I told you so bad. The rotator cuff, thank you. I don't know why I couldn't say the rotator cuff. It's so weird. It's like I was trying to say rotor-rooter or something for plumbing. I don't know. But yeah, the rotator cuff, it becomes a very strenuous area when you're doing that. When you're snapping the wrist, it takes a lot out of the shoulder. I also was a pitcher when I played baseball, pitcher and first base. So my arm definitely took a lot of damage because I used to play fed ball, travel baseball across the state of Michigan. Very fortunate. I made a couple all-star games. I was the MVP for the Giants back in the day. A lot of division titles, a championship we won. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I was a big fat man though. So if I would have been in the shape I am now, there's no telling what we could have achieved. Urethane I know the urethane ball just got banned because they're catering to the two-hand bowlers. So I would go with reactive resin I should say, reactive resin, because it absorbs some of the lane. The urethane particles, though, if you had that in your ball, was great. The casing on the outside. Hold on, I gotta let my cat out. She's annoying me. No, get over here. Come on. Go on, kitty. Give us a chance to feed the squirrels. Anyhow, back to the charts. So you can see we're kind of back and forth here because Bitcoin, the reason for this is, nope, Roto-Rooter is going on. Fair enough. Left mouse of the Moderna put sold top $6.90. Wow, congratulations on that. That's excellent. You learn how to bowl in here too. Yeah, I'm a man of much knowledge, honestly. I've learned a lot in my life. Like taking on challenges. If we look at the total crypto market cap, down about 0.42% on the day. It's broken out, guys. So what I would expect, because we came up to 2.5, it would not be uncommon to come back down and retest the possible breakout. It's what I would like to see. If I'm being honest, I would like to see the retest here because we found ourselves in a little bit of overbought scenario. And it really does feel like we should come down and at least retest these areas. If not, and we break out here, the likelihood of us being able to hold a breakout would be probably slim to none. But we do have a nice attempt here. So it would be in our best interest to come down and consolidate a little bit and see how we react at the 20-day. Right now we're on top of the 200, so we could get some upward volatility. Me personally, I'd prefer to see a downward tug real quick. I know it goes against what most want to see, but I'm trying to find the least passive resistance if we can do this. Right now, the USDT dominance was down to support. So the likelihood is buy support, sell resistance. So resistance, sell resistance, buy support, sell resistance, buy support. So are we going to come back up to resistance? Are we going to get the overall validation by just coming up here to the 20-day where it's about to have a bearish a death cross? We won't know until we come back to 7.79%. Not a huge move. It's only about a 2.1% move. No, I can't look at oil stocks now. I missed the boat. Honestly, on that movement, I missed the boat. I knew what it was building, and I knew I should have been more progressive. But at the time, I was still in my commodity stocks. So now it's almost a death trap here. Because you're going to get volatility. The technical target's 101 out of that bearish, that descending wedge breakout. And it's not the end of the world, but now the only way to kind of capitalize here would be to wait for it to come back down and backtest if it comes to 64 or so. Otherwise, it could be a runaway train. I'm not saying you can't make money, but for me personally, I missed the boat. I had it by the balls. Murphy's at 24 and 25 and NOG at 20, and I let it slip away. So this would just be a FOMO moment if I did that. So I'm gonna stand firm and just wait to see what happens now. So that's a mistake I made in trading, even though I called out those numbers to myself, even not just the community. So what I'm focusing on is crypto, it's possible we missed that movement, the early movement with oil. And like I always say, you want to buy that before the breakout. So now buying it now could be dangerous because you're caught up in volatility. Let's see, a good cord ball also helps, but I can have a spin. Yeah, absolutely, Bearded Viking. That's a good way to practice too, is the house ball that has the plastic on the outside. That's not necessarily made to spin. Because if you can spin a house ball, you're gonna be able to do some special. See, I had a ball. It's called a gyro back in the day when nobody thought I could bowl, because I didn't start bowling until I was like what 12, 13 before I threw a bowling ball the first time. I was a quick learner. So my uncle Roger ran the mid states. He's in the Michigan Hall of Fame for bowling. He didn't think I was a good bowler, and I lied about my age, entered the mid states, and all of a sudden I didn't even have grips in the ball. So the fact I was able to hook the ball like I could without grips caught people's attention. Columbia 300s, especially when they started sponsoring me, and Ebonite. But I got into that tournament, and I had my very first game I ever bowled in a mid states at 17. My first tournament experience, I shot 268, and I actually shot 17 strikes in a row. The last 6 of the first game, 13 strikes in a row. Last 6 and front 7 of the next game. And the whole line was around me. My Uncle Roger comes over there. My brother just gets there, and he's like, "What's going on over there?" And my brother's like, "I think that's Tommy." And he's like, "What? Holy shit." And he ran over there, and I got a double bye. And I got to kind of watch. I won 4 rounds of match play, and the only reason I lost, I feel it was my learning experience. In the final 4, in the semifinals, I bowled against a guy who was 71 years old, who had been bowling in these tournaments for 40 years, and it was just his time. He had never won a tournament. I'll never forget, I missed the 4-pin in the 4th frame, and then I struck out, and I ended up shooting like 230 something. The guy needed 2 strikes and 8 pins to beat me. On his first ball, he hit dead center head pin, terrible shot. 710 fell over, and he looked at me and he goes, "I know you're young, you'll have many other chances." He's like, "I've been doing this for 40 years. I think it's just my time." After he beat me, he shook my hand, was very nice. I won like $2,000 still. And that's when I lost my amateur status. Because they're like, "Do you really want to take this? You're still an amateur." I'm like, "I'm going to take my $2,000. They can shove that amateur status up their ass." And he ended up winning it. I watched him. I wasn't pissed about it. I was very proud of my accomplishments. And I was very thankful that he ended up going on to win it. Because like I said, he bowled for 4 decades. And it was his first championship. He said he'd been close a number of times. So, yeah, it's very hard to bowl with my eyesight because I can't see with my left eye and I have no depth perception. So all I would do is I wouldn't look at the pins. I would look at the markings on the ground. And I knew based on oil pattern exactly within, I had to hit it within a certain line. So I was very consistent. So yeah, I couldn't see very well, obviously, with the depth perception. But I was very good at doing this. I'm very good at repetitiveness. So I know what I need to do without knowing it. You know, I can just do it every single time. I would do the same approach. But yeah, it was definitely difficult. Baseball was even more difficult, to try to identify a pitch. But once I did, it slowed the game down. So, he got his dream. You learned a lesson, being humble. Yeah, absolutely. It was a very humbling experience because I really thought I was going to win the tournament. I was dominating it. But God said, "This isn't your time." And this guy's been working his ass off for many decades. So I was very appreciative that guy won. Like, it was his life. I know he passed away a few years later, but it was it was his highlight of his career. You know, and he wasn't a top echelon bowler, but he was middle of the road. I'll never forget at college at Macomb, I had a teacher, Mr. Orjowitz, and he didn't know I was a bowler. I never said anything in his class. It was when I had to take an elective. It was a bowling class. And he used to always criticize my stance because I did not walk up like a normal person. If you see me, you're like, "There's no way this guy's a good bowler." And FYI, Bitcoin's doing what I expected. I gave you a warning at the start and last night, so don't be surprised by this. I even said take profits yesterday, did I not? But anyhow, I was in a tournament and I started out really bad. I had my worst start. I only had 52 in the 5th frame. I kept getting splits, no matter pocket or not. I struck out the last 6 and bowled a 202 that game, which was a miracle. And then, as it turned out, I made the last cut spot. And I'll never forget when he missed the cut because I hit the last cut spot and he missed it. And then I ended up finishing 5th in that tournament, which was a miracle because these people were way better and it was a higher division than I was accustomed to. It was a 230 plus. But because of my standings in the 215 arena, they made me move up because I was doing too good in the tournaments, apparently. I made the cut, knocked out 4 different people in match play, And then I got humbled very quickly. The guy shot 280 and I shot 210. It was nothing to be mad about. He kicked my ass. But I'll never forget, I went back to class and I wore my rings. I wore my 300 rings and my 800 ring, and I'll never forget this guy. He goes, Tom, stand up, please. He goes, this guy, this motherfucker, he called me a motherfucker in front of the class as a joke. And he goes, this guy cost me the advancement in my tournament. He's like, I was practicing all year. This guy comes in and he gets the last spot and he ends up rolling. And I was like, he's like, what are you wearing on your hands? And I was wearing my rings. He's like, what is that? He's like, I've got 300 rings, but what is that other one with the purple in it? I'm like, oh, that's my 800 ring. I shot 822. And he just sat there and he's like, you motherfucker. He's like, I've never shot an 800. So I got a lot of, I never talked about my achievements. I don't usually. I like to be humble about it. And then, especially when people don't know what you're capable of, they treat you like an amateur. Never lose that lesson. Always act ignorant to people. Always act ignorant with what you know, because then you can see what everybody else really, their true feelings are. And the only reason I said take some profits yesterday is so that you would have the ability to finesse this market. It doesn't mean you have to sell out. That's not what it means. It just means sometimes you make a couple $1,000s on an investment, you take those few thousand off the table and continue the investment through. You always want to find a way to pay yourself in a bear market. Make no mistake about it. Bear markets, the trend is not our friend until it is. Gatman's got 20 plus 300 games and no 800. Incredible. That's incredible. Way more than I've gotten. I don't know how many I'd have now if I would have continued bowling, but I haven't bowled more than 5 games in the last probably 7 years. And that was only because my brother forced me to go. But yeah, the last league I bowled on, we won the championship. I averaged 226. And that was after not bowling for like a half a decade. So I knew I still had it. And we still won the championship. I'll never forget it. We went into a league where this team was notorious for winning. And nobody can beat this team. So I had a vendetta, and I said, we're going to beat these cocksuckers, excuse me. Because they were very much not humble about it. They were sandbaggers of the core. And if you bowl, you know what a sandbagger is. It's somebody who lowers their average on purpose so they get higher handicap. So I just played the game. Oops, threw a gutter ball here. Whoops, bounced it off my leg. Whoops, accidentally missed that 7-pin. Whoops, missed it, kind of thing. And then when I'd bowl them, I'd light their ass on fire. I remember I went into one match. I had a 190, and then I just let it go. I didn't want to be a sandbagger. I only did it for the first 3 weeks to kick them in the nuts. Nah, bowling's passed me by. Only because I don't like the new rules and stuff. I have to be more focused on other things because of my son. But yeah, that's a part of my life that I closed. I really appreciated it. I love bowling. I was really good at it. I'd always go every day after school. I remember in high school, I didn't even know they had a bowling team. And I was at Sunnybrook, which is no longer there. They tore it down, and the bowling coach just happened to be there. He comes running over there. Who the hell are you? I'm like, excuse me? I don't know who this guy's at. I didn't even know we had a bowling team. And that was before it was a letter sport anyhow. And I was a senior by then. He's like, who the fuck are you? He's all pissed off. Where do you go to school? I'm like, Henry Ford. He's like, are you kidding me? He's like, you're not trying out. And they just happened to be doing the tryouts to see who made the bowling team. So he's like, you need to come over here. So I did. And long story short, I was like the #1 person who was trying out. And this guy's so pissed off. Oh, he was so mad. I didn't even know we had a bowling team. That's how inept I was in school. I didn't pay attention. I had to work, man. I was a worker. I didn't care about all the bullshit after school. That's why I didn't play on the sports teams. I didn't have time. My parents were divorced. I was driving 45 minutes to an hour just to get this. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the luxury. My family wasn't well off back then. My dad's doing a lot better now. My mom's still kind of in the same circumstance. I learned a lot. I was very humbled at an early age because we didn't have what a lot of people had, but we had what we needed. So, I actually have a 260 average pat somewhere. I also sandbagged when I was younger. Yep. So you know all about it. You know all about it. And congratulations on that, Bearded Viking. That is no small task. That is no small task. I have one trophy. The only trophy I'm proud of. Here, let me go grab it. Because I did it with my cousin. This will put perspective. So this is back in 2003, 2004. So the year after I graduated high school, got this championship trophy. We were doing a doubles tournament. We came in first place as a parent-child because I was over 18 and he was under. We ended up shooting 1634. 1634. And I'll never forget this. I shot 760 or whatever it was. And that was counting handicap. So 1634 with handicap. I didn't get much handicap because I had over a 200 average. But that was our first place trophy. And I'll always be proud of this trophy. I'll never get rid of it. It's the only bowling trophy I actually kept, believe it or not. But I'm so very proud because there was a guy there who would call me a sand nigger and a sand flea. And it was very disrespectful because when I first started there, I was young and he was mad because we were overtaking him, or at least, and he always won the doubles tournament. So I had a vendetta and we kicked the shit out of him. They shot like 14 something and it was, yeah. So never get on my bad side of competitiveness because I will take you out with because I will practice until I can take you out in anything. I'm better at bowling than crypto and I'm a shit. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, car wreck changed everything. Me too. Me too. Yeah, that was a big thing with bowling. A lot of people like to drink. My brother let me down in a tournament one time. The only doubles tournament I ever bowled with him. He decided to go get pissed, blackout drunk the night before, and he shows up wasted. And I shot 7 something, and he comes in there shooting like 450, little mother. Anyhow. So XRP. My brother's pretty good at bowling too, though. I would have to bowl left-handed though, because my friends would get mad. We'd do the all-you-can bowl on, at night, have a few drinks and things like that. And I was so much better than everybody. I had to start bowling left-handed, and then I started beating everybody left-handed, and that's really when people stopped bowling with me. Oh, now you're gonna walk up there and beat me left-handed? I can't bowl with well, I'm sorry, I don't know what else to do. I can only throw left-handed to try to come back down. And then I'll never forget, my brother shot 225, and I'm bowling left-handed, and I shot 247, and he's just looking at me like, are you fucking, like, what the hell? It was the best I ever bowled left-handed, but it was just one of those days. Anyhow, I'm trying to, we're trying to watch the market as much as we're still trying to know each other. See, this is a good way of getting to know each other. And, sometimes taking the focus off of things is nice. 10% of the people don't like the conversation, but the core does. Isn't it nice to get to know each other a little bit better in time? Right now, we're still showing this bearish consolidation, and now we're below the bearish rejection zone. So, honestly, I would not be surprised if we ended up breaking down here to fall down a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't. We didn't show a lot of volume. But I want to make sure that it's actually going to break down before, I want to and Long Snacks, welcome in, and thanks for being in Town Zone for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. But man, it's like yesterday when you look at stuff. It's almost like a miracle we won that tournament. We weren't even projected to come in the top 7. We weren't even projected. And that was by chance that we became partners because of our average. It was completely at random. You'd be partners with whoever. If you had a higher average, they'd pair you with somebody lower in that tournament. And it just so happened our averages met at the perfect spots where we became a team. So that's I think my proudest achievement ever bowling, because it was with my cousin. It was awesome. It was his first experience at ever winning a championship too. Then I coached his basketball team and other things, the championship. Yeah, oh yeah, that was the team. Anyhow, XDC continuing to fail to push out here. We need to hold 347. Otherwise, it can be a topping reverse. So you can see a possible shoulder into a head. Consolidation back up. Failed. Didn't get over the 200. And now we're looking a little bearish here as the rest of the market's starting to transfer in that direction. So just let these continue to be lessons and the moments in the market when it's not in a bullish time. When you're trying to move through a bearish time frame, you always want to pay yourself through the market. You don't want to give it back. Now it's too late because XRP's come down from $1.47, $6. A lot of these other ones have come down 6 or 7%. And if it falls, it's going to be a rather quick fall. We seen a propagation yesterday where the U.S. came out and said that they're going to advance this war. They couldn't come with, there was no deal made, which made me think that this is not a good sign. We know with Ethereum, it came up to that 2,200 almost where we thought on the white, which meant we would have to back test. Remember what we drew? So now we need to back test here at 2,050, approximately 55, to see if we can hold the lower layer of a bearish pennant. Otherwise, if it falls back through, it's going to confirm a much steeper drop if it breaks down. So this is the importance of just being here every single day and trying to understand. You know, it's not a perfect recipe. You know, it's not a perfect recipe at all. But it definitely will be able to try to absolutely, Tim, and thanks for being in town tonight for your first month of the emoji badge and me being abducted by aliens. Our biggest hindrance for XRP right now is that very head and shoulders you speak of. And that's why we need to back test here and try to hold that $1.33 area on the breakout. Otherwise, what you're speaking of is right here. I have it set up. Shoulder, head, shoulder. Circled, but I thought I had it written out. Did I delete it on accident? Right here. But that, you're talking about a bigger head and shoulders. I'm talking about the micro head and shoulders with the shoulder here back on February 4th, the head on February 15th, and as of right now, a right shoulder on February 25th. That's a micro head and shoulders that has not been invalidated. So we're definitely watching that. This is inaccurate. It's supposed to be something like that. So that's what we're watching for here. The daily snuck up there pretty quickly. And that daily yesterday is a rejection candle, and it's based around this next candle. So if we can't break out here and make a new high and close above, it's going to be a bearish rejection in the zone. And our further confirmation of that, if it doesn't break through, is we would have to back test here to try to continue out if it's going to be an E wave. But we also are getting rejected at the bearish liquidity sweep zone, which is a very bad sign. And we even drew this extension box that we had to get over in order to confirm the breakout of this liquidity sweep. It failed. It broke down here, came back through, even tapped it again, and now we're below a very critical spot. Could you say we're trying to build an inverted hammer? Yes, but I'd be very careful because this almost looks like a spinning top. And that would be a bearish rejection, and it's confirmed by the next 2 to 3 candlesticks here. Yes, the Cannabis Podcast, and thanks for being in town for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. That's one thing that it didn't point to our favor with the crypto fear and greed index, because it did pop up from 10. Let's see, let's refresh this. I think it was in the 20s. Yeah, 22 is an extreme jump for what happened. And it again tells me more people were buying the push up rather than when it consolidated back down to 10 when we should have been buying the day before the breakout. That tells me that more people are buying the breakout, and they're probably out of profit right now and in the negative. Because a lot of people I know were buying yesterday based on the statistics of the entry points. We're buying the breakout. Very few are buying the consolidation. And that's dangerous. If you're buying a breakout, you want to buy the back test. And I showed that neckline before we broke out on a lot of different things, how we were back testing. To buy after that breakout was dangerous. Because now, in theory, we've seen the dynamic laid out in front of us by XDC that told us we were probably going to have a pretty hard reversal. And this $1.41 is a very key level. Very key level. And you know what? Before I leave, because I do have my son's IEP that we have to leave in about 20 minutes. And that's because he's special needs. If you don't know what that is, you probably don't have a special needs child. Man, I'm getting a little skinny in the face again. I definitely can tell I shed a little bit of fat. I can definitely see it. That's good to see. This was a conspiracy I've been thinking about and that I've been doing more research on. So, is XRP the native currency of a satellite-based financial network? And I'd love to see what you guys have to say. Network that exists outside the current internet. Most people are staring at their routers, but the real money is moving 22,000 miles. 22,000 miles above your head. While the world is distracted, and just, this isn't confirmed, this is just a little conspiracy I've been thinking about. While the world is distracted by 5G and fiber optic cables, a ghost grid, and tell me what you think about this, this thought process. A ghost grid has already been deployed. This is a financial infrastructure that doesn't need a single underwater cable to function. The offline financial architecture, we are talking about a system built for total sovereignty. If the terrestrial internet blinks, the global ledger stays live. The satellite nodes, a network of orbital validators that settle value at the speed of light beyond the reach. A financial layer that operates completely independent of the public web. The interstellar ledger, XRP, is the literal fuel for this off-grid settlement machine. The hidden reality. The architecture for the new global economy wasn't built on the ground. It was launched into space while the masses wait for an update. The replacement is already in orbit. The system isn't being repaired. It's being bypassed by a network that exists where the rules of the old world don't apply. Stop looking at the ground. Start looking at the stars. I think there's something going on here. Bigger body, smaller head. Yes, indeed. Definitely. I had a nice workout today again. I still can't believe these are my arms and my muscle, but it is. I know it could be a lot bigger, so don't judge too harshly, but I'm not on roids and I never will be, so I have to do it naturally, and it's taken about 4 years to get to this point. But yeah. What do you guys think of that? Honestly, what do you think? And I'm not saying that it's 100%. I'm just saying, what do you think about that? And it almost makes sense why we have the escrow dumps and the way that we do things. I see something deeper going on. It's just my own little conspiracy that I've been digging into. My head is shrinking, yeah. When I'm in better shape, my neck gets smaller. I look smaller in the face. But I can definitely see it here getting bigger in my arms and shoulders and all that good stuff. I told you in my past life, before I got injured, and even when I was injured, I was a personal trainer for a little bit, for a couple years. And I was a certified nutritionist. I was certified AED and CPR certified, which actually saved my mom and my son's life from that training. As you know, my son almost passed away a couple times, actually. But back in early 25, when we changed his button, he was sick and all of it like kind of mixed. And it got caught in his throat, and then he was choking to death from asphyxia from it. And I actually got it unclogged by understanding how to hit the back and get it out. But he was limp, he was blued, something you never want to see with your child. He was literally, he wasn't there. He was gone. But I brought him back before the ambulance got here, and my mom OD'd on heroin when she was in her stage because, I don't know. But I ended up doing CPR on her for 13 minutes while waiting for an ambulance to arrive for them to give her a shot. But I saved her from having brain damage somehow, some way. They don't know how, but I knew how to properly do that. So I've had a couple weird situations in my life where I've had to save lives. You never want to have to save your son's life, but it's a blessing to be able to, or your mom's, because she would have been gone. This is about 15 years ago now, 13 years. I was in my mid to late 20s, and I wasn't supposed to go to my mid 20s. I wasn't supposed to go to her house. And I was driving by after getting off a double shift at work, and I just heard God's voice said, "You need to go to your mom." Like I heard, "Turn here." And I did. And I was being directed by our Lord. I had a decision. If I would have drove by, my mom would be dead. And I decided to take that call. And lo and behold, half hour after I get there, thump. None. I didn't break any of her ribs. 0. That's my proudest achievement. I didn't break any bones, no ribs, nothing. I know, for doing CPR for that long, broke nothing. The only thing I had my sister do, because she was high, I had her just keep blowing air into her mouth as I was doing the CPR. She didn't know what to do. I had to do the phone call and all that. Yeah, but she didn't break any ribs, believe it or not. I think there's something going on with the satellites as well. Hello. Yeah, I believe there's a private ledger that was built with XRP that it's a conspiracy I have.
You just have a random chat.
I'm always random. This is just the way it goes. But, well, this is coming to an end because me and Julie are going to have to get ready to go to my son's IEP. I know, Mr. Stop. The fact I didn't break any of her ribs with 13 minutes it's insane. And my mom's only like 4'9", 4'10", and she was like 85 pounds at the time, 90 pounds. So... The satellites aren't real. I don't think they're held up by balloons. I mean, they're still satellites, but the cables, that's the interesting part of this. Well, yeah, that's why you would have an underground style ledger or an underground system, Mark.
Aren't all the,
Because I don't believe they use the web either. And that's why we have different pricing.
aren't all the cables under the ocean?
Yeah, but I don't think that's what they're using. Those are the fiber optic cables and stuff underneath. Also, those are the it's embedded in the internet. I love it. Love this topic of discussion.
Interesting.
But when I get back home, assuming everything goes good there, I may come back and continue the live. So I'm gonna end it here. Me and Julie have got to leave here in the next 10 minutes. I gotta go take a piss and get myself ready. But yeah, please with the information we went through, don't be surprised if Bitcoin goes to 69K. You know, we're not surprised it's down 1,300 points this morning. I even told Julie this morning what it was, and I said, well, how are people even going to understand? Most people don't even know what kind of candlestick I'm talking about, so I'm going to have to be a little more direct. So, transcontinental communication cables. There you go, Julie. That's the name of what we're talking
That's
about.
what's under the ocean.
Yes. And that's where you get a lot of the, well, you need the semiconductors and stuff as well. So, the Satelloons, excellent. That sounds right, actually. But yeah, we'll be back. I just got to go 5 minutes away. It's going to probably take 45 minutes to an hour. It's really going to discuss to see his progress and to see their plan for next year. From everything we've heard, he's overachieved. So I'm not sure where that puts him for next year, but he's definitely overachieved, and he's it's been great. So
He's an overachiever.
he's a very much an overachiever. So I'll see you guys after. Hopefully I can come back live before we pick our son up after, but it's all going to depend on what happens here.